I'm vegan. So Artlist Magazine is a collaborative magazine. Every collaboration tells you something about who you are and how you want to work. Because seeing other people work in a different field, different type of ideas, really makes you reflect. You meet someone and you're like, I think if we sat around the table for a few times, we could make something great.
I'm Ptolomeo. I'm from Texas. I've been living in Eindhoven for about 8 years. Created Revolting Press as a way for me to talk about political, social, cultural issues, and then it kind of grew from there. I published a book with Onomatopoeia in 2023, right? So it's a book called Not My Sister, Proletarian Women Define the Battle Lines, and that was quite a collaboration also with my intern at the time, Marta, who was a Belgian graphic designer. And so we risoprinted everything at Onomatopoeia on my machine, on my risograph there. And I think that it was packaged in such a way that I made it very accessible to a liberal audience. And so even though the ideas in it there's a lot of revolutionary ideas in that book, it's a compilation of 3 different more historical pieces.
I'm Emily Janneke for full name. I'm a poet and artist, and I teach art workshops. I made a small 1-poem zine in an afternoon that I could then hand to people to read, because it's always, how do you get people to read your stuff? It's easier if it's a physical product. So I got to not only create with my hands, which is really fun, but also share my work. I really enjoy doing these types of activities with a lot of people, because I think seeing other people work gets you sort of out of your head. Wow, really, I could do whatever I want, so I can just make what I want to make. So that always is really nice.
No, it was a very nice environment to just explore and try things. So if somebody has the time and the space and the materials, I'm like, you gave me all the ingredients, now I can cook.
And then also immediately getting to show it to people and read other people's scenes, I think also is a really big motivator. And if you're all making scenes, it's like, I'll read yours and you read my zine. I think that's an important part of putting them in context and understanding what they really are, other than pieces of paper. But I don't think I fully appreciated the counterculture sort of status and the way that people who don't have access to traditional publishing methods, they found this way to have a voice. And I think that's really beautiful, but also a reminder of, just because I don't have the traditional resources doesn't mean that I don't have a voice. And also to value voices that come without sort of that prestige, and that there's actually a lot of people saying a lot of good stuff, just not in the medium that we are told is respectable.
I want to say something about this, because I was doing a lot of research into zine history just a few months ago. And I also think that coming up in Europe, but all over in a lot of places, I think zines are going to become more important. I think they're going to become more important because I think that there's going to be a crackdown on ideas and different kinds of censorship online. And it's going to matter more the ability to distribute things locally and do so maybe even a little bit more covertly. One thing that was came to my attention recently was that if you print things at a regular printer, There's a little series of invisible, not visible to the eye dots that go on the page that show exactly where you printed it from, the time, so people can track you for what ideas that you share. So I'm not saying that mostly queer zine culture is not going to be like high. You don't necessarily, certainly not at the moment, need any kind of like secrecy around it. But one thing that had to do with the history of zines or printing in methods like risograph, which is a bit more luxury now, right? But in the past, doing things through mimeograph, which was the older version, right? They used that because you could do that on your own in secrecy, also without having to go to a big printer. And you could, if you needed to print between 500 and 2,000 pamphlets, you could do that again in secrecy without being tracked and distribute them. Anyways, I want there to be a little bit non-digital ways to make these things. So yeah, I would say that I just want to emphasize that, yeah, I think that zines are really important. I think that they will become more important. There's obviously going to be other digital means and online means to be able to communicate and organize, but I think that offline means are going to become increasingly important as things get more fascist, you know.
I think the wisdom I gained from Artless is that it's so easy to make a zine, and it's great, and it's fun, and even if it doesn't have a platform or whatever, the experience of it is already great. Yeah, I like how pages form like a little world, and then the other page follows it. It's a story, but it doesn't have to be linear. It can also be an object that is just a universe. It did reignite a fire of zines because I already loved it. So I do have a revamped appreciation.
The thing I enjoy about the zines right now is that it is such a wide range. So if I ever have time, energy, and I want to really make a polished version, I can do that. If I have an afternoon and a glitter pen and a dream, I can do that. So I think that's why, where before I saw it as either nothing or book, this has opened up a range of possibilities.
I think the thing that if anybody's compelled to make zines, for me, it's such a nice way for people to just get ideas out. I think that if you're feeling like you're boiling with information or passionate about something, even if you don't need to have that much graphic skills. You really don't. You can take a Sharpie and just scribble something. I do think it's really important to get some more political messages out there that have some courage. I think that people are really safe right now when it comes to their politics. People are overly scared, even when you're not being directly persecuted. And the people that can take a risk, in particular, if you have citizenship, I want to see more people taking bigger risks with standing up and. I mean, the easiest thing right now is just to talk about the genocide that's happening in Palestine. It's just horrendous, and there's a lot of people doing amazing work, wonderful work, to resist it, to bring to light and stop companies that are collaborating with Israel. So it would be wonderful if people got more into zine culture. I think it would be, and it's so much more local and physical, and that brings people together. I think that there's such a dearth of that. I feel that the absence of that, and it would be wonderful to see more people do these things together, in person. Thank you.